I come to you bearing fantastic news. The Dallas Mavericks are firing Nico Harrison, according to reports. Shams Charania of ESPN put out this tweet just moments ago, and we had to come at you with a video right now. The Mavericks and owner Patrick Dumont are expected to fire general manager Nico Harrison at about 10 a.m. Central Time meeting on Tuesday, sources tell me and Tim McMahon. You'll be watching this video right around 10 a.m., so as you're watching this, Nico Harrison will no longer be the GM of the Dallas Mavericks. And this is why you subscribe, because when breaking news happens surrounding the Dallas Mavericks, we have you covered right here on the channel at youtube.com/MavsTV. We're also going to be going live here in less than an hour to more or less celebrate a man losing his job here on today's show. Nico Harrison fired. This is why you sub, because we have you covered with all of the latest Mavericks breaking news. And my initial reaction to seeing the news was, I would say, one of relief. And I don't know if happiness is the right word, but certainly relief, because it just feels like this fan base and this team has just gone through so much tension and so much turmoil over the last 9 months, and just so much adversity and there was just a dark cloud hanging over all of it. The dark cloud was this guy, man. And now that dark cloud is gone, this fan base, this team, this city has a chance to heal from what he did. The damage Nico Harrison did to this organization will not be able to be repaired overnight. That is absolutely plain and simple. And that's not just the Luka Doncic trade. There were plenty of other incidents and other things that Nico Harrison did to more or less destroy the culture of the Mavericks franchise. And this is a guy who mentioned that we want guys who add to our culture. Well, Nico didn't add to the culture. He subtracted to it. And fortunately, Patrick Dumont, Mavericks owner, came to his senses and fired Nico Harrison a day after the Mavericks blew a 13-point lead to the Milwaukee Bucks. When the Mavericks were shooting free throws down 3 with less than 10 seconds left, you had people yelling, "Fire Nico." And I know some people were mad about that and they wanted them to support the team. Well, there's a super easy solution to let the fire Nico chance go. It was by firing him. And Patrick Dumont finally came to his senses and did that yesterday. And I do think it's poetic that during the game yesterday, Dumont took his seat for the second half, and at the start of the third quarter, he was conversing with a guy in a Luka Lakers jersey who flipped him off at the season opener against the San Antonio Spurs. And the guy went up to apologize to Dumont, and they had a conversation about everything. And basically, the guy who was wearing the Lakers jersey admitted that Dumont made a mistake. He had good intentions, but people make mistakes. And so Dumont is man enough to admit to his mistakes. One of the mistakes was letting Nico Harrison run basketball operations. That will no longer be the case, as Nico is no longer employed by the Dallas Mavericks. We'll get into more details here in just a moment, but give me your one-word reaction down there in the comment section. What is your one-word reaction to Nico Harrison getting fired? I gave you mine, and I think it's relief, but let me know what yours is down there in the comments. I wanted to bring up a couple of tweets that I saw, and keep in mind this news is developing, so I'm just giving it to you as it goes. It looks like Patrick Dumont is going to meet with the team after he meets with Nico Harrison. Dumont and Harrison are meeting this morning, and then Dumont will meet with the squad after that. And according to Mark Stein, there is already a push among some of the organization's influential voices to try to bring back former Nico Harrison advisor Dennis Lindsey from Detroit. Dennis Lindsey was an advisor to Nico Harrison during the 24-25 season. What happened during that season? Oh yeah, the Mavericks made the NBA Finals. Dennis Lindsey, a longtime NBA executive. He was a GM of the Utah Jazz and has been around the block. I wouldn't mind that being a potential long-term GM candidate, but the Mavericks are expected to name an interim general manager. We don't know who that is as of the current moment. I assume it's going to be somebody in-house, and then they'll do a full-fledged search to find their next leader of basketball operations. But all that to be said, you never want to celebrate someone losing their job, but I got to be honest, I'm pretty damn happy that Nico Harrison is no longer the general manager of the Dallas Mavericks. He did not deserve to have that position. He made himself the biggest enemy in the history of Dallas sports, and that is not an exaggeration, folks. He is the biggest villain in the history of Dallas sports, and that includes all of the Cowboys dynasty era. That includes Jerry Jones. That includes, name someone who you think is the biggest villain. It's this guy right here, man. He destroyed the fabric of a basketball community. He destroyed the Dallas Mavericks culture, and he did not deserve to lead this franchise into the future. And good on Patrick Dumont for making sure that that did not occur, especially this season. And we'll get into what the rest of this season means here in just a moment. But I do need to tell you guys about our sponsor of today's show, which of course is PrizePicks, where you and I make decisions every single day, like Patrick Dumont firing Nico Harrison. But on PrizePicks, those right decisions can get you paid. PrizePicks is the best place to play in over 40 states, including California, Georgia, and Texas. And they put their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. They use Venmo, Apple Pay, and Cash App for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals into your account this sports season. PrizePicks also now offers stacks, meaning you can put the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. For instance, if you want to take the more on Cooper Flag points, rebounds, and assists, you can do that only on PrizePicks. PrizePicks is super easy to play. Just download the PrizePicks app and use code CLNS to get $50 on lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. One more time, that is code CLNS to get $50 on lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. And if you're looking for an example of what a lineup looks like, right here, I got the more on Drake London, rushing plus receiving touchdowns. I'll also take the more on Tet McMillan, rush and receiving touchdowns, and the more on Rashid Shaheed, rush and receiving touchdowns. You can copy my picks or make picks of your own. Just please make sure you do it over at PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS one more time to get a $50 bonus when you play your first $5 lineup. $50 in lineups when you use code CLNS. That link will be in the comments and description of today's show. PrizePicks, where it is good to be right. Again, just reacting to the immediate firing of Nico Harrison of the Dallas Mavericks, and we will be going live on the channel momentarily. So if you're watching this right now, go over to our live tab and come join the party, because we're all going to be celebrating the firing of this man. And where do we go from here is basically what we're going to talk about on the second half of today's show. I think the sentiment, the overwhelming sentiment, is that you could not let this guy make another trade or make another transaction as the leader of basketball operations for the Dallas Mavericks. You could not let him make I don't know that he would have done this, but what if he was to go rogue and trade Cooper Flag or something? Or what if he was to go rogue and make another trade that no one agreed with? You just could not let this guy set the vision for the future. And one thing is certain, Nico Harrison would have never traded Anthony Davis as long as he is alive in this world. And now that someone else will be running basketball ops, there is a chance that Anthony Davis does get traded, which would absolutely help accelerate this rebuild into the future. You could probably still get a couple of first-round picks for AD. You could probably still get some assets for Klay Thompson. Daniel Gafford is trade eligible as well. This team, in my opinion, should be stripped to the bare bones. I would avoid trading Cooper Flag. You can't trade PJ Washington this season anyways because he signed that extension. But outside of that, I think anybody and everybody should be on the table for the Mavericks to be traded. And the deadline isn't until February, but this much is clear. There was no way, shape, or form that Nico should have been allowed to carry this team into the future, especially when this guy right here is wearing a Los Angeles Lakers uniform and is going to win the NBA MVP this year. This site, to me, producer Nick Lopez is a Lakers fan, and I know he loves this site, and he loves Nico Harrison and thinks he's the best general manager in the NBA. But this site, to me, is absolutely sickening. Everybody knows it should have never happened. Nico Harrison is the only person that thinks it should have. Patrick Dumont admitted to the kid who was wearing a Laker jersey at the game last night that it shouldn't have happened and that he made a mistake. This was the biggest mistake in Dallas Mavericks history. There is no ands, ifs, or buts about it. And now the time truly to begin healing and moving into the new era of Mavericks basketball begins now. We thought it was when the Mavs won the lottery and drafted Cooper Flag. No, the time to move on truly begins right now. And it's because Nico Harrison was fired as general manager. A couple of names that I have been looking at as potential replacements for Nico. Obviously, Dennis Lindsey, who Mark Stein mentioned. And let me just make sure I haven't seen anybody else. Obviously, you have Bob Myers, who reportedly the Mavericks had conversations with over the summer, but Myers is now running Josh Harris's company. So Crystal Palace FC, the Washington Commanders, the Philadelphia 76ers, and he's helping out just overseeing all of those operations. But man, I would take a hard, long look at Bob Myers, because that's a 4-time NBA champ you're talking about. That's a guy who was the architect of that Warriors dynasty. You could do a hell of a lot worse than that. Has a working relationship with Mavericks CEO Rick Welts, who was there when Myers was in Golden State. That would be my top pick. You also have the likes of Masai Ujiri, who I don't know would be a great fit here in Dallas, but he's absolutely available as well. And I know people are going to mention they want Dirk Nowitzki for general manager. Not going to happen, guys. Dirk does not want to be involved in basketball operations at that level. Now, bringing Dirk in as an advisor to the GM, absolutely in on. I just don't think Dirk wants to be the guy tasked with this rebuild, simply because it is a damn near impossible task. And any general manager that is coming into this job, they know the task they have ahead of them, and it is not an easy one whatsoever. The Mavericks, after this season, do not own their own first-round pick for the next 4 seasons. They are in the second apron of the NBA salary cap, so there's not much room to work with there. Like, this team it's going to be a hell of a rebuild for whoever the next general manager is. So I hope that person is handsomely compensated because, man, they certainly have their work cut out for them. Let me know down in the comments before we get on out of here, who should be the next Mavericks GM? Name a guy down in the comments. If you think it's Dirk, put it down there. If you think it should be Jason Kidd, put it down there. I don't care. Name anybody in the comment section on who should be the next Dallas Mavericks general manager. That will do it for today's show, guys. One more time, we will be going live here in just moments on the channel. So hit that subscribe button at youtube.com/MavsTV as we break down the firing of Nico Harrison. At the end of the day, this is a good day to be a Dallas Maverick. And the guy who led our franchise into absolute dismay for the last 9 months is no longer in charge. Again, never want to celebrate someone losing their job, but this was best for everybody involved. We'll see you guys soon on the channel. And as always, let's go Mavs.